A change in perspective actually matters more than you'll realize. You really have to program yourself, guys. You cannot just be someone, in my opinion, you cannot just be someone who asserts that brainwashing happens everywhere but yourself. That's not a affirmed way to be accountable, responsible. It's not supposed to be an asinine thing, or a blatant thing, or a deliberate thing, or even a of course thing, that you wouldn't have to judge the facts because the judges have affirmed for their own reasons. And I'm not directly shouting out against the judicial systems of even the laws and rules of anywhere in society, not just internet forums. I mean, yeah, let alone Discord. I don't know, but it's like, or Twitter, or wherever else I've been judged on. Oops, in real life, etc. We know that the facts can be judged. We know that because everywhere else you go, that accepts you, and you still change for the better for the people you think deserve it from you. I mean, they don't need you to change, but they certainly appreciate it, whether they like to believe it or not. The people who take this is a quote I use a lot. We weaponize common sense not because it is impermeable, but because we take that shit for granted. We don't weaponize the common sense because we think that there's no other reason to do against it. Akin to, we judge the facts. We do it because we take it for granted. We're not the kind of people, guys, we're not the kind of people who just assume that everything is just the way it is, and then if you do anything else curiously, off the bounds, almost off the radar, oh, I'll do this just because I'm interested in it. In this hobby, okay, that's a little projection, but it still really was, that we need or want, or even particularly still want and feel a need to do something that we don't have to do, and we just have a bit of mercy for an interesting option. What I'm saying here is that if you're that curious of a person, it doesn't have to make you a jackass or a selfish piece of shit. But the people you treat like that, where you're like, I'll just curiously do this one thing that whether or not it was actually pirated in someone else's perspective, that it happens to still be judgmental. And it's just because they use like certain common sense that they take for granted. Even if their opposing party or rival or friendly at that point would still be someone who debunks that, and you don't even listen to them. And they tell you, you tell them. I mean, I'm not shitting the guys too much for this, but I'm not saying it has to be you either. But you'll tell them, I didn't have to do this, but I still did it because it was common sense. And they'll tell you, I'm the exception to the rule, even just this once asinine way, once asinine, and you'll be like, wait, what? Why? I just told you this was impossible to do, and they're like, well, if it's impossible to do, why did I still do it? And it's like, they're not trying to mess with you. I was that person. I was that person with some of you guys. I was like, I'm not trying to be the exception to the rule. I'm just saying don't assume there aren't any. I don't have to be that example. There's even a way, what I said before in this channel, this one, yeah, the main one, could be alt if I upload there, or cross upload, or only, that you can promote an idea without believing it. And then how this works is that you would probably flunk at least the Texas standardized tests if you did not pick a side in an argument or a debate, let alone any other debate you do in real life. That sounds asinine enough, but the way that you promote an idea without being its role model is that you give off an idea without actually believing in it. And the reason you still project that idea is because you still believe in not judging that idea. This is actually how you even become a better meditator, is that you don't judge even your own thoughts. And you become an outside observer. Sorry, Rob Mulder, but I had to show this a little bit, even outside your skull share thing. Well, there I go, showing myself against the wrong thing. Whoops, whatever. Well, I'm still talking, so whatever. That you become outside, this is not even a secret anymore, really. It never was. You outside observe your own thoughts, whether you actually believe them or not. And let alone any other thoughts you have for anyone else's concerns or ownerships, copyrights, whatever. So what I'm trying to say, what did I say at the beginning of this video, actually? What I'm trying to say in maybe 7 or 12 minutes, we'll run between them. We'll run to like 9:30 or something. We'll see. 7, 9:30, and 12. Okay. Let's do the check marks out. Beginning meal end for a still ending. We judge the facts. We weaponize common sense because we take it for granted, not because it's not within a way to avoid permanence. And you can still, again, judge the facts because you know when you're the example of somebody who has not been able to see the exceptions from what you thought was common sense in a curious approach. You have to understand that if someone tries to debunk you or become an exception to the rule, they're not trying to drive you crazy. They're not even crazy themselves, per se. They're trying to show you a point that they don't have to even believe in. They don't have to promote that point to believe in it. They can promote that point without believing, and that's not crazy either. There's a way to even do the same thing without actually going insane over and over, not just by consistency means, but not just through consistency in the right light, but supposedly you're going to want to be someone who does not just judge people just because the facts seem like common sense and are not meant to be curiously investigated for any better reason than people who think they're doing the wrong thing on purpose. And then they meet someone like me who will do the wrong things in a very treasured and beautiful light and still learn the main life lessons, like the alternative life lessons. And they perhaps got mad at me first, or at the same time as me, I getting mad at them. As far as me getting mad at them for things they'll make it mad at me for. Sad, disgusting. Thank you, Inside Out from Pixar. Or I mean, the Disney Studios. I wouldn't have never thought about disgust being an emotion, even if I didn't look at the feelings wheel. You can check out the feelingswheel.org if you want, but I don't know how to link that, but whatever, man, you know that. We're approaching 7 minutes. We'll make that check mark. You can check mark 7, 9:30, and 12 for different reasons. I'll stop at 13. For 7 minutes and forwards until 9:30, we're going to talk about why synonyms do not have to be redundant. Just because things mean the same things, similarly, they can still be different. Now, that's kind of obvious enough for like freaking synonyms, but if you want to put it in perspective, why do we have to say both jump and leap if they mean nearly the same thing? If they even distract from the message and the focused, intentional, solid message. What if I told you that one of the many ways and psychopathic reasons you would not communicate properly, and I keep beating this bush over and over on this channel, don't unsubscribe just yet, I'll get something cool with the claymation later anyways, which I probably teased in a few other videos. The video I teased in the claymation philosophy, is that you're trying to be creative with other alternative messages in the first place. You're not just accepting and acknowledging that alternative messages exist by default. You're not just making a focused message in spite of diplomacy to only mean what is already the truth of what you're trying to say, if it even is a message of a specific kind out of all the many things it could mean, without having to literally mean those things without being illogical. It's to be creative. I still think to this day, people do not know what it's like to be creative. As a so-called ex-creative, I'm someone who still complains about that, where I'm like, okay, so even if I don't want to be an artist, I'll still be the hypocrite who tells you what real art is. Not using freaking Adobe products like Photoshop and Premiere Pro, or even DaVinci Resolve for the rest of you guys. Getting things on the free, that's not the right way to use energy, even in a proper light. Because money is energy. Also, what else was I going to say? They have to be able relationships. Well, loving yourselves at least, but like also, your money is energy. And if you, sorry about the coughing, but it's not fake. What it is, but just because I make this so hard to hit. I'm sorry, I'll just tear it out. I want Amy to edit that out, but we're approaching 9 minutes. If you find me insufferable enough, or insufferable, meaning the same thing, sin, unless you realize. If you're the kind of person who assumes that on a synonymous level, being someone who just says jump and leap in the same sentence is pointless, then fine, I understand. You could think before you sleep, shout out to this channel, you could write in your community tab post that you suspiciously think that maybe we should try to summarize these things with or without a true, clear, concise way, because at least using the same word over and over again or different words to mean the same thing, or longer passages and words to mean the same things, doesn't have to be done, fine. But why can't we be creative? Even if that doesn't count as a style because it's improper grammar or some shit, why can't we still be creative? Because even to the irrelevant example of being a content creator on YouTube who does not use Photoshop or Premiere Pro to do all the professional or even creative professional on my ass. Okay, but like it's just the creative professional without coughing faking of being a true artist, in my opinion. and this is my own critical thinking and critical opposite opinion, if even is opposite anyone else's opinion by perspective and scale in comparison to Thief of Joy. See, here goes me throwing every other thing that didn't match my message. Auctioneer mode coming. It's auction time. Everybody run to the auction time. This isn't the right theme song reference, but it's about auctioneering for some reason. I have the opposite opinion that it is comparing to other people who think that the only reason to have the same message for a focused theme that means not everything else passive active wise is because it means that they're being creative in a way that still seems pointless, even if building is better than crumbling. Yes, I'm shouting you out. I'm not going to say your username, but thank you for doing that perspective. Even you, other guy on that Discord server who also didn't want to actually admit that he was giving me a hard time with the desperation thing. I was actually telling him, and I didn't mention his username yet either then, but that other guy, the other guy, both those people in particular. One, well, obviously a good number of them, if you at least 3 of them, were going to question my speech patterns, and then one of them at least combated my philosophy, and then the main owner of the channel confronted my behaviors or something. Not the bad ones, but like the ones where I just felt odd. So I seemed odd. And I was like, I hated how that miscommunicated even without the communication in mind, or within mind in question. But this one particular philosopher / intellectual actually got to the point of telling me, and we're approaching the 12-minute mark. I didn't even say 9:30 yet, I'm sorry. But we're pushing the 12-minute mark. He told me that it's not just all females who hate desperation, it's everyone in particular, everyone collectively. He didn't mean like too brutally, but even that fact for what its own judgment is. He means that everyone does not like desperation. Everyone, not even just females. Every male, every female. My debut of this counter argument is that if I can't even be, and I applied this by trying to directly approach it, by saying that I could still be an exception to this philosophy or rule or fact, that I am at least one exception to that rule because I'm still arguing against it, even if it's illogical. Not even logic doesn't lead everywhere, but it doesn't anyway. So oops. But that it's possible to see it from even a subjective lens. That desperation isn't everyone's hated forte. Passion for hatred, hating for passion and he still was like, he meant this good, but like he was like, I don't understand. And I took this a little personally because I was like, what if he's still telling me that he doesn't want to believe there's a exception to the rule, even though he has a collective perspective of generalizations, which to this day, I don't like how generalizations can still be a bad thing. I meant to believe that generalizations can still be a good thing. That being said, in 5 seconds, you can judge the facts, you can form an argument that isn't yours.